Afternoon, y'all. Welcome back to the Cotton Trail. My name's Kate, my husband's name is James, and we have a 2-acre homestead in northeastern Arkansas where we are raising goats, chickens, and children and a garden when we can. So today I thought I'd bring you down to my goat pens and I could show you how we do rotational grazing. There are a lot of different ways that you can raise your goats. You can turn them out on a really big pasture if that works for you. You can put them on dry lots, which a lot of people do in order to prevent parasites, or you can do some rotational grazing. If you have a smaller area, really dry lots or rotational grazing are probably going to be your best bets. We do rotational grazing. Now they do kill out some of the grass and not a whole lot that we can do about that. It turns a little bit dry, but it does have some grass in it. They do get to do some grazing in it. But I thought I'd bring you down. So this is what we have. This pen here is actually empty right now. And this is the gate that goes into it. This is the gate that goes into the pen next door, and that's where our does are currently. You can see Daffodil sitting there looking at us. And we do this in order to prevent parasites. There's another fringe benefit. We have kids that go into our fences on a regular basis. Now we do have a perimeter fence, but this ensures that our goats, whenever our kids are going in and out of our fences, they're still going to be contained even if they come out of their fence. So here's our gate. And if you open this gate, it was already unlocked because I was in here. There's a separate fence in this center here. We've got it locked. And that is where our goaty girls are. So if anybody comes out, they're just in the other doe pen and it's not a huge deal. But the biggest reason why we do this is to prevent parasites. In our area that we live in, the ground stays really wet. It gets really yucky. It's just a breeding ground for parasites, especially things like coccidia. And we really want to prevent that, especially that's a big problem in babies. So we really want to prevent that. Now parasites need a host in order to live. The little wormies that they get, the coccidia that they can get, they need a host. So when they're continually in an area and being exposed to something and they pass it through and they just continually contaminate the area, which is what we're trying to prevent. So about every month, around about the first of the month, not always, we move our goats onto a pasture that they were on before. Now we clean that out. They drag hay out everywhere. If you can see all this hay there, that's from this month. They pull hay out of that feeder. We'll have to get all that out. And we clean out their barns. That is in roughly 8x8 with just a covered area. We have one just like it next door. But we clean all of that out and try to keep our ground nice and dry for a little while. Let anything that's contaminating it die off because there's no host living there anymore. And they're not recontaminating anything. And that really helps to cut down on some of our parasites. Now, this is what our barns look like. Well, these barns. It has this covered area, and then if you go inside, we come in and clean this out and get as much out as we can. We'll put fresh bedding in whenever we move them back. So they have an 8x4 space in there and an 8x4 space here where they can have some shade because we don't have a lot of trees. They're hollering at me. I think they know they're about to move. Now their hay feeders are a little bit low, waterers are a little bit low, but we're about to move these girls. Hi, Violet. Tulip. Iris. And we do the same thing for our bucks. This will be our buck pen eventually. Currently it's got our does in it just because it's the bigger space and we have more does. We're working on fencing the rest of it. These locks are not the best locks probably, but we do the same thing for our bucks, and it seems to have really helped with our parasite issues that we had whenever we first got our goats. We didn't know anything about this. Like I said, we were just starting out, and I think when we did research, we found online that each Nigerian dwarf needs like 10 by 13 or so space, which obviously we do a lot more than that, and then we split it in half, so then there's 2 that are bigger than what they actually technically need. So this is our other. We're actually going to replace this barn with something more like that. This is their temporary homes here. You can see what they do in a matter of about a month. They drag that hay out everywhere, kill the grass, everything's all soggy. This is our shaded area where we put our feed. Hi, Hickory. Elm. But I thought I'd just bring you down, talk to you about what we do with our rotational grazing on our farm. What do you guys do with your farm? How do you manage your goats? Do you dry lot them? Do you turn them loose on acreage, which would be a dream, right? So what do you guys do?